Now, so far we're getting rejection at the 78.6 Fibonacci of this decline over here. We've rallied back up and we stalled at the 78.6 Fibonacci area. Tried to overthrow it a couple of times. Ended up trying to break above that area and break above the cloud right here. But then the move quickly failed. We turned right back down. That was the Sunday close right there. We turned back down on Monday. Tuesday, we took back and took out the cloud right here. So again, this is really just showing you're going sideways. You're going from bullish to bearish, back to bullish, back to bearish, and you're getting rejection off the 78.6 Fibonacci. I told you to be watching this bull flag. We went sideways here, and again, you had a potential bull flag that could have given us a leg up, and I told you we could break up or down. We broke down, and again, now we're going sideways. So now the moment of truth, do we come back and take out this low right here, and you have a lower high and a lower low, or does Bitcoin repair itself and hop back up here and take out the 78.6 Fibonacci, which is where the cloud, the upper boundary of the cloud is, and attempt to rebound and challenge this high and get this big rally for the weekend. So we'll be watching again, because again, you're going sideways. You're going in this sideways trading range, okay? And a breakdown below this level is going to be bearish, giving you a lower high, lower low, and taking out your 50 and moving towards 100 and 200 period moving average. Bitcoin loses the 100 period moving average, it's over. And it loses it and stays below it. You pop back up above this level, you buy more time, and as I said, we consolidate near the 69,000 level high for several weeks. The deciding factor takes place. Do we have a legitimate breakout, or do we have a fake out if we do go higher? So again, going to be watching this level closely. We did get the 10 back above the 20, but again, they're just kind of drifting sideways. So again, now the sell signal is back, so we either are going sideways or now we're going down. And if we're going down, you got to take out your 50. You've got to take out this previous low to get the lower high, lower low. And then we got to see momentum go into the negative region, validate a lower high. If we see Bitcoin repair itself, come back up, got to be able to clear that 78.6 Fibonacci area, the 71,000 area that we're getting rejection at least so far, after peaking at 73,000, just under 73,800. Now, currently, as I'm making the video here during the session on Wednesday, Bitcoin is up about 1.25%. So again, will it be able to repair itself, get back above the 20 period? We've lost the 20 period moving average here. Will we be able to get back above the 20 and the 10 and then come back and clear the 78.6 Fibonacci? Or do those moving averages act as resistance and we start coming down and taking out the 50? Bitcoin has broken the trend line with our linear scaling. If we take the linear scaling and we touch these lows here and here, we've broken the trend line, and then here, if we get it back above the trend line, back above the moving averages, that would be a sign of strength. If we get rejection here, then again, you've got your 50 down here, you've got your 100 period moving average down here at 54,000, you've got your 200 down here at the just above 44,000 area. Right now, we've seen the diversions give us a sell-off to the trend line. We bounced, we got a lower high, and now we've broken the trend line. So do you get a lower high, lower low, or does Bitcoin get back above that trend line and attempt to go above the resistance zone, which is the peak here and the peak here? Now that is a resistance zone, so we'll be watching which way do we break. Do we break down here below the 50 and below this low, or do we break up above the resistance zone here? Which way do we break? We're trapped going sideways. So again, either a bullish consolidation, potential triangle, that if we do try to go higher, get a legitimate breakout, or get a fake out and then come back down, or again, do we break down and break this level, get the lower high, lower low? So the moment of truth at this 69,000 area, but like I said, we could be around this area for several weeks, or we get either a legitimate breakout or get a fake out and reversal, one or the other. The moment of truth will soon be seen at the 69,000 area. Do we have a new bull market for Bitcoin, or a very, very large corrective move in what could be an expanded flat if we reverse off of this area? Which will it be? And here in the 4-hour time frame, I'm showing you the linear scaling. Again, these touches of the trend line, we broke it. We've dropped below the 200. I told you in the 4-hour time frame, you've got to drop below the 200, and then you've got to see the 50 drop below it, and then you've got to get pre-parameter in negative territory if we're going to get a sell-off on Bitcoin. Pre-parameter, after the January correction, pre-parameter went back into positive territory, and it's been there ever since, and we've had this move higher. Formed the rising wedge above 69,000 at 73,800 or so, just under that, came back to the 200, bounced around the 200 right here, and right here. We bounced around it, we rallied back up, we got this lower high, and as I said, we had this consolidation here, and we are looking for a resolution either up or down. So far it's down. Now the trend line's breaking, you've done more technical damage. So if we hold below the 200, hold below the cloud, which is now turning red, then that's going to be bearish. If the 50, if we get a bigger drop, then you're coming down to your 400 period moving average. You're moving down towards the 100, the 50, and the 100 period moving average in the daily time frame, and then you're getting this lower high, lower low. So again, we'll be watching which way this plays out. Do we get back above the 200 and the 50 in the cloud and repair the damage that's being done, or do we continue to hold below them and start dropping below this level? So just some things to be paying attention to. And do we see confirmation of a lower high on pre-parameter if it goes negative? Again, what's necessary for a reversal is pre-parameter going negative, staying there, Bitcoin holding below the 200 and the 50, with the 50 dropping below the 200, that's bearish. If we get back above the 50 and the 200, they don't get a bearish cross, pre-parameter's positive, that's bullish. So again, right now we're seeing some technical damage here with the break of the trend line and trying to back test it at the moment. So again, I'd be watching the low here and the resistance zone up here. If we should clear that trend line, clear the moving averages, clear the cloud, then you've got your resistance zone and the 78.6 Fibonacci of the decline, which I'm showing you in this video. Because Bitcoin is going sideways, and here's Bitcoin futures, some signals are bullish and some signals are bearish. Here in the daily time frame, we still have a bullish reversal of conditions with the green cloud, but we got rejection at a red dots of resistance here, at least so far. Haven't been able to clear those levels with the lower high. Do we get a lower low and start selling off? Here we got red awesome oscillator bars, but they've not gone negative. MACD's not been able to turn back up, but it's still with a negative signal, but it's not gone in negative territory. The question is, are we correcting sideways? Are we correcting sideways and going to get a bigger push higher, or are we going to get that lower high, lower low? So again, if the signals start going negative, then you're going to get a bigger drop. And again, if you take out this level, this low over here from mid to late March there, you're going to get a bigger drop. Now look at my ribbon right here. And again, look at the bars reflecting the trend. We've had this push higher. You saw the ribbon turn yellow, from red to yellow, but then we saw the sell-off just under 18%. We sold off, bars turned red. We got back above the ribbon, bars turned blue, but then now we're back below it. And again, the ribbon's going back and forth, really just showing that we are in this sideways trading range. So again, we need to see a resolution up or down, a breakout above this range or a breakdown below it for the next move with Bitcoin. Is it a bullish consolidation or a bearish stage 3 top? Which is it? Do we get a legitimate breakout or do we get a failed breakout? And like I said, this could develop over several weeks. We know whether we have a legitimate breakout or a failed breakout. Because Bitcoin's going sideways, signals remain mixed. Here we still have a sell signal. We turned up, but again, the bars remained red, momentum remained red. The trend is still up, but if we start taking out this low right here, you're going to break the uptrend and you'll have a lower high and a lower low. And that would mean that momentum would go into the negative region should that happen. If we get a breakout to the upside, then you got to be able to clear that resistance zone directly overhead. But again, I have mixed signals because Bitcoin is going sideways. Some signals here, like here, are bearish, but have not yet confirmed going into negative territory. Others are still bullish, like we have a bullish reversal of conditions, but we've stalled at the red dots of resistance there with Bitcoin futures. Signals are going back and forth from bullish to bearish, as I'm showing you. Yeah, we've been watching this 69,000 area, and that is our pivot point. Watching for a close above it. We got it, but it was on light volume. So far not confirmed. We're watching this area very closely because, again, if we clear it, then that's going to be a really big sign of strength. You can clear it and hold above it. Clear it, hold above it. When you break above these point peaks, clear it. Here we pull back, and then we broke above it. And again, it was off to the races every single time, as I've talked about here with the bear market. Two of them, and the first leg up in the bull market here, we broke above that, we cleared it, and then we went on and cleared the previous bull market high over here, and again, off to the races. And then here, we tried to break above this level, and it failed. We made two attempts to break above the previous peak at 65,000 in late 2021, and it failed. So you have these breakouts, and you clear the overhead resistance. Here, we're stalling right here. So again, if we can clear this area, then that would be a sign of strength and bullish. If we get rejection here, that would be a sign of weakness and open the door for a potential reversal. So again, Bitcoin is at the moment of truth here, but as I've told you, we could hover in this area for several weeks, as we've done in the past over here. This was several weeks, and here this was several weeks, forming the top about 5 weeks over here, about 4 weeks, or 5 or 6 weeks over here, actually. So again, are we going to get rejection here? Are we going to get a legitimate breakout? If we get a legitimate breakout, that means we go above 69,000 and we don't drop back below it. Seeing some weakness. Now we've broken the trend line in the 4-hour time frame, our linear scaling, and the breakout was on light volume. So again, we're watching to see what happens here. I'll show you up close. Going sideways. So again, do we get a resolution up or down? And here it is up close. Again, the previous attempted breakout in late 2021. Again, we tried to get above it here. Then we tried to break down. It failed to be confirmed. And then we went back up 3 weeks later, and we tried it again, and it failed again. And this time we got a topping tail, but this time it was confirmation and then a follow through. Here it wasn't, but again we made 2 attempts and we stayed there for about 4 weeks. We hit a peak and then sold off about 16% and then went back up, and 3 weeks later tried it again. Here we had a peak. Now we're 4 weeks later, 3.5 weeks at this point. So again, we're going to be watching, do we go up and try to challenge 73,800? Or do we get a lower high, lower low, and come back and break this low over here? Now, we did get a close above the red line right here, which is 69,000. We did close above it, okay? And it's a breakout in the weekly time frame. The problem is the volume. Look at the volume, how low it is. The volume is very, very light on that breakout, not very convincing. So that makes the breakout questionable. Now, even if we go higher, the move still may fail. We may go up here and then still see this week or next week, we still, maybe we get a rally this week and we go up higher, or next week we go higher. That rally could still fail and give us something like what we had over here, or as I've said over here. We may even get a bar like this. Look at this. We had this rally. We went up to the high. We got a lower high. We sold off. Went back to test the low there. Look at that. But then we rallied back up. We still moved above that level. So again, a lot of volatility with that topping bar right there. Here we had a topping tail. So again, we'll be watching to see what happens this week with the close come Sunday. But so far, you've got a breakout above 69,000, a close above it, no follow through. We began to reverse immediately, but it was done on light volume here in the weekly time frame. Very, very light volume in the daily time frame. The day we got our close there last week, again, we're at the moment of truth for Bitcoin. Either we're going to break this level, that's going to be bullish, that's going to be a sign of strength, and you never look back. Or you're going to push above this level and have some failures, and you're going to reverse like this. So again, either we're going to get a legitimate breakout or we're not. And if we get a reversal here, then you're at risk of forming a triple top on Bitcoin. If we do see a reversal here in the this week or next week or here dancing around this level, then risk is that the bear market never ended and we have this large ABC type of a move, and you're going to go back and test these lows, and that would be a massive what's called an expanded flat, where you move above the high, you come over here, you move above the high. That's what I'm saying. We could still move above, even above 73,000, still have the thing fail. If we end up, having a breakout, but have it drop back and start seeing closes below 69,000, which is what we're seeing right now with the breakout on light volume. We've turned right back down. Currently, we're down 7% on Bitcoin after the rally last week, which was 6%, and we gave that back, and currently we're at 66,000 below that red line, that 69,000 area. Again, if we get a legitimate breakout, you need confirmation, a close above last week's high, you need a follow through, and again, like I said, maybe we get it, but then it still fails if we get what's called a head fake, and that could be what's going on right here, or it could be better defined, as I said, if we get multiple weeks surrounding a top, as we did over here and as we did over here. So again, we'll be watching. We're multiple weeks surrounding the bottom as well. Again, the moment of truth for Bitcoin, a break above this level is extremely bullish. If we hold above 69,000, do not drop back below it. But even if you go above it, as I've said, you still might hit the trend line here. And let me zoom out. Now, say we clear this area and we hold above the 69,000 and we clear 73,000 and we hold above that for a little while. Again, it could be you go to this trend line right here, and currently that looks like it's coming in right around the 87,000 area. If we take our time hitting it, then maybe a little bit higher. But if we go up to this level, you're right around 87,000 or so, 86,000, that range, 88,000, depending on when we come into contact with it. But again, it's still possible that if we get a breakout, we come up to this level, and then the pattern still fails and gets something like that. Keep that trend line in mind. Should we get a breakout, again, if we get a breakout, that's bullish as long as we don't drop back below 69,000. But you get something like this, then that's going to be bearish. Or if you get something like this, where you clear this level, say by the end of the week we're back up, or next week we're back up, but then it comes back down, and you get a repeat performance of this and this, the risk is that you have the triple top. So again, the moment of truth, do we break out? Do we get a reversal? And that's really where we're at. We're at the line in the sand. Get as you break above 69,000, you hold above it. Well, last week we broke above it, got a close above it, couldn't do that previously. We now have it, but it was on light volume. So again, it's questionable. So now we need to see a follow through, confirmation, and a follow through going forward if this is the real deal, Don Steele. Fake, phony, baloney, plastic banana, good time rock and roll, fake breakout. Now this week I want to continue to point out we have a possible 9 count that could complete by the end of the week if we're above the bar from 4 weeks ago. But like I said, it may not complete. We're turning down, at least so far. We're down over 7% for the week. So far it's been canceled out. But here you had, let me just zoom in here a little bit so you can see. Here you had an 8 of a 9 last week, and here we're dropping below the bar from 4 weeks ago, at least so far. Now, if we rally back up, then again, maybe you get your 9 count, but the 6 count, you have to close above it for it to be a perfected sell signal, like over here and over here, which again was a 9.9 that gave us the 21.5% sell-off. So again, an 8 of a 9. Now, maybe the 8 maybe that's it. It doesn't complete the 9. Like over here, we had with this sell-off, we got to bar 8, and then it got canceled out, and we got the reversal. And you've got a 1 of a 9 to the upside. You got a price flip. Over here, you got to bar 9, but it was not a perfected signal until we dropped below the low bar of 7, which we did, and then you had the perfected buy signal. So again, we'll see what happens here, but we're in bar 8 of 9, so something to pay attention to. These counts don't always play out in the weekly time frame. Seem to do better in the daily time frame. Something to be aware of for this week, that we have a potential 9 count. We'll see if we close weak by the end of the week. If we have weakness, then the count could be canceled out. We just got to bar 8, and that's the end of it. But the fact that another 9 count is forming is showing price exhaustion. The 9 count could mark a pullback followed by a trend extension, or an immediate trend extension like we got right here, trend extension, but then the 9-9 formed a correction. Or the 9 count can mark a correction, or we can get an immediate trend extension if we get a breakout, as we've had in the past, above these overhead resistance levels. Bitcoin just keeps going. Some things to pay attention to around this 69,000 area, that we do have a 9 count that so far is not developed. We now have a 1 of a 9 to the downside. So far it's being canceled out. You got to be above the bar from 4 weeks ago, which we are currently not, which is our doji candlestick that we had 4 weeks. Well, let's see, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, this candlestick right here. So again, just some things to be paying attention to here. The dollar is pulling back off of overhead resistance after breaking out the previous week of the trend line. If the dollar consolidates or back tests here, then again, we tried to clear this level. It's failing at this moment, so that might buy Bitcoin a little bit more time and even go up and try to make a new high. But if the dollar clears this level, and it could very well next week with the CPI data 1 week from today, I try it before the week ends if Bitcoin sells off dramatically and gets a lower high, lower low. But if we clear this level this week, next week, then that's going to be very problematic for Bitcoin going forward. When we cleared overhead resistance previously, the NASDAQ topped, and so did Bitcoin. The dollar surged, and Bitcoin tanked 78%. So an important level here of resistance, and we've broken the trend line. So this could be spelling trouble for Bitcoin going forward, because it does have a negative correlation with the dollar. At the moment, we have Powell speaking right now, and the dollar selling off at the moment. And again, the dollar's had this push higher. Bitcoin had a rebound, but then turned back down, and we've had this breakout of the bull flag and the breakout of the declining trend line in the weekly time frame. So again, if the dollar pulls back to the moving averages, which again, we've gotten the 50, the green line, above the black line. A little hard to see there because I've got the 20 and 10 in there too, but the 50 did get a golden cross right there, and we're above the 200 period moving average. If we get a pullback and consolidate, as I said, in the weekly time frame, then Bitcoin still might try to surge above this high and do what it did in 2021 and have the move fail, or do it next week and then have the move fail. If we Bitcoin break down below this level, though, then you have a lower high, lower low, and that would be problematic, and we could see the dollar break out. The dollar could break out next week with the CPI data if it comes in hot again. It has the last 2 months. I believe that the Fed is going to end up canceling the June rate cut, what the Fed fund futures are pricing in. We could just see the three cuts later in the year, or it could be less than 3 cuts. See volatility with that, with Bitcoin and the stock market. And again, if the economy is strong and inflation is elevated, then why does the Fed need to cut rates? The Fed will cut rates when the economy starts to weaken and recession comes, and the market will begin to price that in, and so will Bitcoin. You're watching to see if Bitcoin and the stock market are rattled next week by the CPI data, but just pay attention to this sideways consolidation here, and if we do pull back, that might help Bitcoin for the short term. If we pull back to the moving averages or just beyond them and get further consolidation, or just kind of get a smaller pullback, regardless of how it plays out, are we in a topping process for Bitcoin, or are we in a consolidation like a triangle here that's going to give us a legitimate breakout, hold above 69,000 and never look back. So attention, the dollar breaks out, that's going to be bearish for Bitcoin.